Colleagues, good morning.
Morning.
Yes,
Morning,
very good
Chair.
morning to you all, colleagues. Yes, it's 9 o'clock now. I wanted to just check if we are duly correcting. Secretariat, if you can assist us, please.
Morning and thank you. Morning, Chair and
Yes.
members. From the PC on Agriculture, Chair, yes, we do correct.
Okay. Co-chair, good morning.
Good
I
morning,
hope you're
Chair.
ready. You ready, Chair?
Always ready to rumble.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Let's check with the Secretariat on Police if we are ready and if we have enough or a number that corrects from the PC of police.
There is a quorum from the members of the Portfolio Committee on Police.
Oh, thank you very much. Then we can start. Colleagues, a very good morning once more. We are again meeting today after the meeting that we had on the 19th of March, wherein we were presented with petitioners who sent a petition through the Speaker's office. On that day, I want to believe that we listened to the presentations from both departments, the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Police, and we listened to the petitioners. We allowed them enough space to be able to make a presentation, but also talk to the issues that they were presenting to us. Somewhere in the middle of their presentations, you'd remember, honorable members, that they also made some proposals and recommendations on how they want us to handle the issues that they raised as petitioners. So now, today, Co-Chair, I thought we will allow members to discuss the presentations both from the both departments of Agriculture and the Police and the petitions, and look at recommendations so that we can then allow the team of researchers and the content advisors to come up with a report that comes from yourselves, and then we can then I would like to make a proposal, Co-Chair, that probably what we can do once we have discussed here today, we can then have next week, Wednesday, set aside for the joint meeting again, where we can then adopt the report that we can then submit to the Speaker. So in those few words, colleagues, I want to declare the meeting
recording in progress,
duly opened. If you can assist us, Secretariat, to show us the agenda, and then I would like us to go to the credentials, and then once we are done, I would like to then hand over to my co-chair. Albi, do you have the agenda with yourselves?
I'm checking, Chair. I don't know what's going on there. Keep on freezing.
Okay.
But according to the agenda, Chair, we are only having apology and the consideration of the petition discussion.
Okay.
Yes. Yes,
okay, no, that's fine. Can we then go to the apologies if we do have on both sides?
Yes, Chair, from Petition Agriculture, Chair, we received an apology from MP Lucas Isaacs. She is off sick, Chair, as well as MP Mngxitama is also not available, Chair, for the meeting today. I will check with the Secretary for Peace and Police, Chair. Otherwise, if she was having a challenge, but if she can't, I will be able to table their apologies as well.
Okay.
Chair, Chair, I received 5 apologies from the members of the Portfolio Committee on Police, from Mr. Socorro, from Honorable Moela, Honorable Clote. They will be attending the meeting of the PC on Correctional Service. Rev Mesha will be attending the meeting of the PC on Home Affairs. Mr. Taiposi joined us, but he indicated that he will be attending the meeting of COPTA.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you very much. May I hear your view, colleagues? Are we adopting the apologies? Please help me if I don't see your hand. Just speak and introduce yourself so that we can adopt the apologies as presented.
Nandi Dalane.
Yes.
Yes, I move for the adoption of the apologies and no accept.
Okay, thank you. Any seconder, colleagues?
Morning, Chair. Willie Oakamp, I'll second.
Thank you very much, Honorable Oakamp. Okay, thank you, colleagues. So, the agenda is, as we indicated, that it's one item that we're considering the issue of the petition that we are discussing today. I don't know whether colleagues, just before we finalize the agenda, whether there's any other issue that colleagues would like to raise on the agenda. Otherwise, I would like to then hand over to my co-chair. Chair, take over.
Thank you, Chairperson. It's a pleasure to once again join you on such an important matter. I would like to, before I start, just acknowledge the Minister of Police, so to the Deputy Ministers of Police, the Minister of Agriculture too, and I'm struggling to see some of the names. I am not technologically always too advanced, so bear with me if I miss someone. That being said, I think in terms of today's discussion, just in terms of what was mentioned the previous time, is that it's important for us to approach it in a holistic way. It shouldn't be a discussion purely aimed at, for example, farms, or at, for example, only rural townships, or it must be a holistic approach. And I think if we look at rural areas in general, there's a significant challenge with regards to managing such large geographical areas, and whether it is in a very remote farming environment or whether it's in a remote township environment, we have to find a balanced rural safety approach in order for those police stations to be able to provide the necessary support. But I think something that popped up quite prominently previously was also the idea that we need to empower communities far more in order for them to assist with community policing. I know that Deputy Minister Boshielo has previously also spoken about empowering communities, and I think that is something that we can very strongly zoom in on. But just thank you again for the opportunity, and as a committee, we fully support the initiative. I'm glad that we can have the discussion today. I'm taking your lead, so you can tell me what part of the discussion I need to coordinate. And thanks again for the opportunity. Before I hand over back to you, Chairperson, I see Honorable Skosana's hand is up. he always beats everyone to it with putting his hand up. So, Honourable Skosana, do you have something specific you would like to start with?
Good morning, Chair, and to the Minister and everybody here, my colleagues, Secretariat. I just wanted to find out quickly, when I look at the participation, I've seen there's a lieutenant command. What is a lieutenant command?
Honourable Skosana, that is someone from your party, from MK. I'm not 100% sure who it is, but I also noted that earlier. I'm not sure who it is.
No, it can't be.
From MK. Yeah.
Can we request Honourable Skosana help us when we chair a meeting, allow the chair to speak and finish, and then you can come in. Thank you, Coach.
Who speaking when the chair is responding without being recognized?
Okay, but let's we'll figure out
that person chair who's talking now. You did not recognize her. Who's that?
That was the chairperson, but that's okay. Let's move on. Let's start with the meeting.
No, but chair, let's.
Honourable Pule, over to you. Let's kick off. Thank you.
Chair, please before we start, because no one is fighting here, but I've got a problem. If you say that that's a chair, because you must recognize her, because you are the one who were talking to me, responding about my question, who's lieutenant command? Now he's saying that I must allow, and I allow you. I'm not interfering with you. Now I don't understand why he's reprimanding me.
No, I appreciate it, Honourable Skosana. It's okay. Let's start with the meeting. I didn't take any offense. I know that we're just trying to begin with the meeting. Appreciate your input. I think it's important that we start with the discussion. I'm so concerned that we run out of time again. I know last time we were a bit tight for with the schedule. So let's please begin. Chairperson, would you like to start with a show of hands, or are you going to start with your own opening remarks?
Chair, I would like us to let me once more also, because I missed the part of acknowledging the presence of the ministers and the deputy ministers here. I want us to just go to the discussions, Chair. You are welcome, ministers. I see the Minister of Agriculture, Minister Steenhuisen, and the two deputy ministers, Bushielo and Matali. I have not seen on the Minister Mkhunu are here. So you're welcome, ministers. I am not very sure, Co-Chair, whether we should just allow the ministers first to make comments. Minister Steenhuisen was not there in the last meeting, but I know that he has issues now at hand. So let's allow the ministers first to make to greet the members and make comments if they have, and then we'll allow the members to start the discussions. Ministers, is there anything that you would like to comment on before the members start the discussions?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to members of the Agriculture Portfolio Committee, and also to the members of the Police Portfolio Committee and their Chairperson, Ian Cameron. Obviously, this is an issue that affects rural safety, and I wanted to be here this morning to listen and to make inputs where necessary, because this is a huge issue that affects a lot of the stakeholders in the agricultural space. And I think it's an important discussion for us to have, but I don't want to delay the meeting any further than it is currently. So thank you very much, Chairperson, co-chairpersons, for the acknowledgement. I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'm not sure whether you brought someone with you just to check from the department, but also Minister Mkhunu, I would like to allow you after Minister Steenhuisen. And please do indicate if you have brought members from your departments.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. We are a delegation of two deputy ministers, Matale and Bushielo, and then we have National Commissioner General Masimula, and then we have Lieutenant General Musikidi, Lieutenant General Sentumule, who's Divisional Commissioner in Detectives, and then Major General Pinal, Major General Mahale, and Major Generals Kukune does states, and then Brigadier Hopatitara, Sibula, Pokane, and Michel, all of them. No, this Michel was a brigadier, Pokane is Major General, and Sibula is Major General as well. Well, that large delegation. All I wanted to say is that we came to the meeting at the invitation, at your invitation as joint chairs. We made a presentation, and I would have, without necessarily saying what should happen, but when we're invited again on the same matter, I thought maybe we would be presented with the high-level summary, also indicating what needs to be done and so on, having made those presentations, as opposed to discussion again, because I see the time allocated is quite long for us to be dealing with one and the same thing. And then you then made an indication that you will still invite us for the third time on the same. So I'm wondering if there's no summary, someone just to present the summary, and then we'll respond to the summary, as opposed to starting discussions afresh and maybe try and finish everything that we're doing on this matter in this meeting. But if that's not feasible, fine. But I'm just saying that we may need to release some of the people who are here because we don't want a situation where criminals are on our heels. We need to be on their heels. That would be my plea. Maybe we could talk to National Commissioner, seeing that there's no longer any new input required, that will release some of the people who are in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yes, that's why I requested just to check, because I saw that the delegation is a bit high, so that we can allow you to release the team to go and do work. Let me just indicate, ministers and honorable members, that we had a discussion immediately after the presentation of the petition, and we had less time to go deeper and make recommendations ourselves as members of Parliament. So today, my understanding was that it's going to be the members of Parliament that are going to come and discuss the issues. Ministers can sit as members, and they don't have to respond to anything today. But as members, probably when we make these recommendations and the discussions, you can just make additions. When we discussed with the co-chair, we noted that the time allocated is huge. However, we know that honorable members have ideas and issues that they would like to raise. So if we finish before 1 o'clock, it's fine. We gave this time so that everyone else, even the ones that may not have necessarily found time to discuss in the presence of the petitioners and everybody else, because we had included communities and observers in that previous meeting. So today it's the meeting of the members of parliament. We're just going to look at the issues that were raised and then summarize on them. For an example, there were issues that and recommendations from the petitioners to the committee, and we had those presentations that both departments made and tried to respond to the issues that were raised by the petitioners. And then the members did ask questions to the petitioners to get clarity, but they also asked questions to the departments and the commissioners who were there to clarify issues and make clarify issues on the presentations that they made, so that members can understand at the end what should happen. So what we're doing today, ministers, is the process of how we handle matters. Today it's our meeting on the and I have to really appreciate that we had brought the teams, Minister. We appreciate National Commissioner for taking these matters very serious and bringing your team. But Minister, we can release them and then have the discussions. If there's anything, if there's anyone who can stay behind, it's fine, so that if there are issues that members would like clarity on, they can clarify, but the entire team can be released. Thank you very much, Minister. Ministers, the deputy ministers may comment somewhere if they would like to at the in the middle as we discuss, but I would like to allow the members of parliament of both the portfolio committees to raise their hands and let's start the discussions. If you want me to just juggle your minds again, honorable members, it's just to indicate that the petitioners in their presentations outlined the types of crimes that affect farming communities, including their violent nature. The presentation also pointed blame at the land expropriation without compensation policy as placing farmers at risk of attack. And the petitioners highlighted the failure of SAPS to investigate crimes in farming communities. You'd remember they were very harsh around that, including the slow prosecution, low conviction rate, and minimal sentences that are not serving as a deterrent to criminals. They also went on the national rural safety that was developed to address safety in rural communities, including farming communities. The petitioners reported that the NRSS is not fully implemented at police stations, as rural safety coordinators spend 10 to 30% of their time attending to rural safety, and that their time, including the limited resources, including, for an example, vehicles and other resources that are meant for rural safety functions, are used in other activities, including transporting prisoners, in most cases due to the poor condition of infrastructure in rural areas, particularly roads. Vehicles are mostly in state garages for reparations, which leaves the stations with limited or no vehicles to perform rural safety functions. I thought I would just indicate that, and that they also spoke about stock theft. They highlighted the shortage of stock theft units, including assigned detectives, vehicles, and related equipment to address stock theft. The presentation also mentioned engagements with the previous Minister of Police, including the establishment of a task team, with very little achieved. These are the recommendations that they made to Parliament. Some of them were government should ensure that national rural safety gets implemented at all levels, that the Minister of Agriculture and the Ministers of Agriculture and Police should meet regularly, or rather ministries with rural safety task teams, including with the provinces, to monitor and evaluate implementation of the NRS. The establishment of district and provincial rural safety units and the dedicated rural crime intelligence, highlighting training of rural safety coordinators or units, specialized and dedicated detectives, especially at stock theft units and communication. That farm attacks to be classified as priority crimes or priority crime, including allocation of more dedicated resources by the South African Police Services. And the last one was collaboration between government and all stakeholders, organized agriculture, private security companies servicing the agricultural sector, SAPs, neighborhood watches, activities, NGOs, etc. Then there was a presentation by the Department of Agriculture. Excuse me, colleagues. In the presentation, the department minister, Steenhuisen, in its presentation, they highlighted the following as contributors to stock theft in the country: unemployment, lack of functional pounds, sale of unidentified animals at auctions and abattoirs. Auctions and abattoirs are not sufficiently monitored to prevent slaughter and sale of stolen animals. Porous borders, no control over informal livestock marketing channels, which make it easier to trade stolen livestock, illegal movement of animals locally and across the border. And these are the issues that Minister, we discussed, I think, some of them last week. So these are the issues that the department raised, and many others, but I was trying to just remind members on issues that were presented on that day, both from the petitioners and the departments. In the recommendations that I just went through that came from the petitioners, they mostly touch SAPS, Minister Mchunu, and they also touch part of what they think the Department of Agriculture is not doing or should be doing. So there we are, colleagues. I tried to remind you on the discussions. We now want to take a hand and take the discussions or recommendations from the members, so that eventually we can finally have a report to submit. Now, just to explain why we are supposed to be coming back next week, Minister, you are not expected to come back next week. Next week, it will be members only. We just want to look at the report that we are trying to come up with today. If it covers everything that we would have spoken about today, to go into the report and the recommendations that we have. Once we're done here, the team of both the police PC and the agriculture PC will go and work out the outcome of this meeting, and then it's going to be a very short meeting next week on Wednesday that we are proposing, because that's a sitting of the portfolio committee on the police. Today it's the sitting day of the portfolio committee on agriculture. Then next week it's just going to be a very short meeting to adopt the report. Thank you, colleagues. I think I have tried my best. If we can start, I would appreciate that. Honorable Okamp, I just want to write down your names here. Honorable Okamp, you are recognized. You can start, Honorable Okamp, while I wait for other hands to come.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, yeah, I'm glad that we've got this meeting. I think the previous meeting as well as this one is a step in the right direction. We all know what the situations are on the farms and in the rural areas of this country, and we all know the lack of policing in those areas. So I think this is a step in the right direction. in the beginning of this parliament, we asked the Minister of Agriculture to have discussions with his counterpart, the Minister of Police, and it is clear that those discussions took place and that we are going in the right direction. When it comes to rural safety, Chairperson, I think we just need to look at what happened in the last week. In the last week, we again saw a farm attack happening. Person was murdered. They returned 2 days later to that same farm to again attack the farm. And it's people creating jobs, contributing towards food security that are attacked here. We are talking about black, white, colored people, Indian people. It's not a race thing. It is really everybody in our rural communities that are being affected by this. Yeah. Maybe 40. 40, I hope that you're safe there. I'll continue, Chairperson.
Okay, please.
Chairperson, when it comes to stock theft, I can just tell you what's going on in the area that I come from. In the Kuruman area in the Northern Cape, it was normally known as a sheep and cattle farming area. Most people moved away from sheep farming. They are only doing cattle because sheep farming is too great a risk. They talk about takeaways or a drive-through as if you are ordering food. People with sedan vehicles driving past, climbing through a fence, quickly grab a sheep or three and literally put the sheep in the boot of their car and drive away. It is so easy. So people became they don't want to farm with sheep anymore. And one of the reasons as well is the mere fact that they do not get joy from SAPS when those thefts are pointed out to them and when charges are laid. I had situations in Kuruman where there was one farmer with more than 60 cases that he made, charges that he laid, and not one of them was successfully prosecuted. He had to drive to the police station, literally pick up the investigating officer due to a lack of vehicles, take him out to the farms. He had himself had to try to make gypsum sets of the wheels and prints that he got. It's totally unacceptable what's happening there, and that is just with regards to stock theft. And we saw in this report that stock theft led to 3 billion rands of losses in the last year. So I think if you go and look at the other financial implications.
My apologies, my sincerest apologies. My sincerest apologies. Can you please ask those people that are playing with the hands gestures on videos to please switch off their videos? My apologies, Ndate Okam.
It's okay. It's okay. Colleagues, please switch off your videos. If you want to stay on a video and your video open, please just be still because I think it's distracting other members. Honorable Okam, please continue.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I see that we've got quite a number of people that's on here today that I don't think are that used to video conferences or Zoom meetings, and maybe we must just be a little bit patient with regards to that, but I'll carry on. It's not bothering me at all. So, Chairperson, just to come back to what I think should happen with regards to stock theft and rural safety, is we really need to get to a point where the police service are better equipped. Again, I can only talk about my own area, but there's other areas that we receive these complaints from as well, where farm guards, farm protection units are basically the only people protecting certain areas in our rural safety units, well, in our rural areas. I have been on safety drives with Plaaswag, with the farm guards, that we literally drive by the police station and the lights are off there. We drive by various farms doing 200, 300 kilometers at night and protecting those areas without seeing a police vehicle. So I would urge that there would be better cooperation between the police and the rural safety organizations that the farmers have put on. I would really urge that we look at bettering the equipment, especially vehicles, that the police use. And then we have long asked for the introduction of rural safety units. When we are talking about attacks in our rural areas, we are talking about attacks that are directly having an influence on food security in this country, as well as on job creation and job security in this country. There's a lot of people whose jobs are affected. Every time that a farm is attacked or somebody is murdered, it has an effect, a ripple effect, and a knock-on effect to a lot of other people. So I think it is high time that we really look into creating rural safety units where the police as well as the public can work together so that we can really make sure that our rural areas are safe. Thank you, Chair. That's just, in summary, what I would like to suggest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Okamp. You just reminded me of the fact that on the day when we met here, co-chair Ian will agree with me. There was an issue about an old man from Limpopo who was apparently attacked, and the leadership of the police and the minister were here. It would be interesting to hear just how far have they gone with that issue. The next speaker is Honorable Russells and Davids. No Russells? Honorable Russells, are you here? Okay, let's take Honorable Davids and then we'll go to Honorable Mundwedi.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, all the members in the department that is there. Chair, I also welcome this report presentation, but my issue is, Chair, that as we don't want farm owners killing farmers to be killed, we also don't want farm workers to be killed.
Honorable members, please mute yourselves.
We also don't want, yes, we also don't want farm workers to be killed, Chair. And as Honorable Okamp said in his area, in this area, Chair, we have an issue of farm workers that's been killed, and the Department of Justice and the police is afraid to arrest these farm owners that is doing all these things. So, and these people don't know how to write petitions, Chair, and all of that. But I welcome this presentation, and every killing is wrong, Chair. I agree that every killing is wrong. We don't want farm owners to be killed, but we also don't want farm workers to be killed and assaulted by farm owners. So I think, Chair, that what must happen is training within our rural communities is very important, to bring training around we are one nation and how to bring about this one nation that we want, because we need the farm worker and we need the farm owner, Chair. So I will say that the police must work hand in hand with the Department of Agriculture to bring training in our rural areas, Chair, about what the rights of our farm workers is and what the rights of our farm owners is towards our farm workers. Because here, Chair, the majority of this violence that is happening is anger towards one another, how they treat one another. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Davids. You spoke about in your area. You did not indicate which area you're talking about.
Okay, in Drakensberg specifically, Chair, they can come to the Justice Department and they will see how many cases were laid, but it was never followed up. Never.
Okay.
Some of these people are buried already.
Okay, I just wanted you to clarify that part.
Thank you, Chair.
Let me just check again. Honorable Russells, are you here? And check with Honorable Skosana, is that a legacy hand or you've raised the hand because ufuna ukukhuluma?
And Dalani, Chair.
Oh, and Dalani, yes.
I've raised my hand, Chair.
Okay.
Long ago. But be that as it may.
Okay, I thought it's a legacy hand. So you'll speak after Ntate, oh, you speak after Russell's. I saw your hand, it was up, yes, but I did not check whether it was a legacy hand or you wanted to speak. Is Honorable Russell's here now? Okay, we'll take Honorable Skosana and then we'll go to Honorable Mondredi.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to start with one thing. You know, when one does the roll call, because we have your CIA and we have ministers in this meeting. I've asked about this person called Lieutenant Command, and I was not answered. I was told that the person is from the MK. We don't have such a person called Lieutenant Command Sylvester from my party. Let me make it that clear. And please, because this link can be shared with criminals, and will discuss issues here which we are not aware of. I'm trying to help you, both chairs, our chair for agriculture and chair for the police. Let's be cautious about these matters. Don't take it for granted. Because some of us work with these things. We know how criminals operate. I'm not saying this person is a criminal, but I wanted to find out who is this person, because this is a joint one. I don't know. I've never heard of Lieutenant Command in our police portfolio committee. That's number one. And I want to put it on record. It's not from MK party.
Okay.
It's not a member of parliament. It's not a staff member. We don't know him. Let that be clear. Yeah. Number two, as we speak here, yesterday in Amersfoort, this issue of farm workers and farm owners is problematic. You know, a farm worker was beaten almost to death. As I speak here in Amersfoort, is in hospital. Some of them, they are even illegally being taken out of the farms. They put them just on the road. You know, this thing has been going on for years. One of those people, fortunately, yesterday he boarded a plane to America. Is one of those people who are racist, who think that, you know, a black person is an inferior person, and we still have such people in this country, which is disappointing. When it suits them, that this country belongs to all who live in it. But the treatment which has been meted out to these workers leaves much to be desired. You know, we need to treat people like human beings. Whether it's a domestic worker, whether it's anybody who works for anyone, has to be treated with dignity. As the Okambo was saying, we all need each other. But it can't be one way. That all the time, you know, is us. I'll be very specific. Reconciliation, but reconciliation is coming from one side. It can't be. Because the revolution, people are going to take revolution and it will be leaderless. All these big walls, all these so-called estates will fall. So we have to be very careful about these issues. That is not only farm owners who are being attacked by criminals. Even farm workers are being treated badly by farm owners. I'm a farm owner myself. I can tell you the stock theft issue. It's, you know, it will need a whole day to discuss that. What is happening? And I think as police, a portfolio committee, we have to fix that, because some of the areas, there's only one person who's responsible for stock theft. In a region, one person, one. Hence, some people are taking law into their own hands. When they reprimand this criminal, they kill them right away. So it's justice, you know, instant justice when they find these people who are still stealing our animals. But I'm saying, what I'm appealing here, Chair, is that we need to be very careful about these issues that we are dealing with the public. I was a bit concerned when you say ministers can be released and other people can be released, because the public really wants, ministers would clarify some issues here. They have to clarify political. They must lead the political direction in this meeting. So we need them in these meetings, and as well, high-ranking official. Even if we discuss that matter at that time, for them to come in here, they come in for a purpose. But for those one who've got some issues which really need their attention, really they will send an apology. But we should not release anybody here. Otherwise, we should all be released because we've got other issues as well. But if there's a pertinent issue which needs someone to be released in this meeting, I agree with that. But to say bluntly that people can just listen or they can just go, then why they were locking in? Because those matters were not resolved. Hence, we are here today. This petition has to be attended to by all of us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry,
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
Because the ministers, you can't release ministers, Chair. With due respect, they have to be here and give political direction on these meetings.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
fine. Thank you very much, Honorable Skosana. We have not released, I have not requested the ministers to go. The ministers are here. I released the other members of the police, of the South African Police Service. Some of them are here. I said the delegation was too huge as the minister was making a presentation of people that he came with. And of course, I must indicate to you, Honorable Skosana, that for me to have also requested to check with the ministers, it was on the basis of the question that you asked earlier in the beginning. I saw that it was the colonel, so I thought indeed he must be coming from the police. So he was a colonel from SAPS, and the minister introduced them as such. So we still can be accountable for everyone else who is on the platform. You can rest assured. So we have the ministers and the deputy ministers here, and I requested them that they will also, contribute because they are also members of parliament, except that they are members of the executive. Okay, so is there anyone who can help me to check where Honorable Russell's is and whether they still want to talk? My take is that he comes from the PC on police. If you can help me check them. Honorable Muntwedi.
Modula Stilo, e re ke go dumedise mo mosong wa letsatsi la gompieno le batsenela kopanong botlhe ba rena le mbone ha chairperson. From the onset, chairperson, I want to put it categorically clear. As a member of the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture from the EFF, by the way, my name is Muthusi Muntwedi, a member of Parliament. Chair, the problem that I don't want us to find ourselves having created is that we want to elevate a certain section of society higher above the other section of society. It is totally unacceptable to elevate a section of society and use things like they are farmers responsible for food security. Therefore, let's pray to God that they must not, and nothing must happen to them, but something can happen to those that do not contribute to food security in South Africa. I don't want us to, criminality is criminality. And the police must make sure that they deal with all acts of criminality, irrespective of who commits such acts of criminality. I do not support, or my organization do not support this thing of wanting to elevate a certain section of society. If we look in terms of the statistics that South African Police Services presented to us on the 19th of March, the statistics of murders of women, of children, far exceeds those statistics that we see at farms. And we must all agree that we in an ideal situation, we would wish that no one dies. We would wish that no one is brutally killed, like people are being brutally killed in South Africa today. So there's nothing serious. That's why today, we saw yesterday 49 Afrikaners leaving for South Africa, for the US, under the pretense given that refugee status, where we know that this misinformation, we must deal with it. So if we have such petitions that comes here to continue to perpetuate such misinformation, we need to nip it right there to say it's not true. There's no one who's targeted. Crime is crime. There's not even evidence that has proven, that has demonstrated that there is target against farmers or farms, for example. The evidence that all of us can actually agree to is that the target is towards women and children. They are the ones on daily basis that get killed, that get raped, that all of these bad things are happening to them. So if we have to focus somewhere, we need to focus on making sure that our police protects our women and children, because every day in South Africa, a woman or children, they are killed. So that is the focus that we should actually be focusing on. We should, and I must not be quoted out of context here to suggest that farm people that are farmers as are killed, to suggest that we don't care about that. We care about them. All life matters, but we can't want to elevate farmers and leave out women and children who on daily basis are victims of criminality in South Africa. As part of my recommendation to the minister is to say, the minister must actually establish a team that will look into preventative measures that they must put in place in protecting our women and children, because there is evidence that they are targeted. And that evidence, we got it from the South African Police Service, which indicates how many are being killed in South Africa on a daily basis. So I wanted to categorically put that thing there, Chair, to say all life matters, everyone in South Africa matters. There's no one who we should elevate over the other. That is the first thing, Chair, that I want to raise. The second thing that I want to raise, Chair, is we had a meeting last week, the PC Committee on Agriculture, and the doctors, Dr. Sarache and Dr. Mudisani, I think, yes, spoke about individual animal identification. Now, we see here today that the issue of individual animal identification also comes into play, where we have a very serious problem in the country which relates to the issue of stock theft. Now, I just want to ask from the side of the department to say, this, I think today, last week meeting around FMD, there's a need for animals to be identified from birth to slaughter. And also today, there's a need to identify all animals for purposes of knowing if these animals are stolen, are recovered, they remain in ponds and something like that. Now, I just want to check on the side of the department to say, when are we likely, Minister Honorable John Steenhuisen, when are we likely to finalize this individual animal identification as a solution to stock theft? Not only because there are numerous factors that contribute to stock theft, but when are we likely to finalize this one? Because possibly it may assist as one of the solutions towards the issue of stock theft that we are currently having, Honorable Minister. Now, the other one, Chair, is that I think just my last input there is it also goes to the Department of Agriculture. Or maybe let me just finalize that one to say, maybe the department needs to provide us with an update with timeline for the processing and finalization of the regulations, including the resources available to implement the new regulations once finalized. Because it's one thing to adopt an act, the most important thing are the regulations, which will see to it that such an act is actually put into practice, Chair. Now, just the last thing on my side, Chair, is on the issue of the pounds, of this pounds, Chair. To say there was a bill that was in Parliament around 2013, around the National Animal Pounds Bill, which was gazetted for public comments around that year in 2013. Now, I just want to check on the side of the department to say what then happened, as that bill was never introduced in Parliament. And just to get clarity on the side of government, because the issue of this issue of the pounds is also another contributing factor to the stock theft. So those are the two things, Chair. But the first one was just a comment to say, must never forget, I'm not going to be used here as a member of this committee to then be biased to one section of society and not to all South Africans in general, and make sure that we put systems and measures in place to protect all our South African population in general. Modula Stilo, Mepule, Dina, ke lebogetse tšhono e o mphileng yone mo tsatsing la gompieno. Ka gale le ka gale.
Ndalane.
Ke lebogile ntate Honorable Ndalane.
No, thanks, Chair. Let me also welcome the report and also welcome the ministers and the deputy ministers present here in the meeting. And Chair, I think most of the issues have been raised by honorable members, and mine is that when cases are reported by the community, the police take long time to attend to those cases. And I think that must be improved on that. And I will also agree with the speakers that police must really work closely with the communities to avoid these issues, that the delays from the police to attend the cases. And indeed, the issue of the women and the children, it's a very thorny thing. Really, we need to come up with something. The police must protect the women and the children, and it must be prioritized, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Ndalane. I'm trying to check here. Honorable Trolip, and then you will be followed by the co-chair, Honorable Cameron. Honorable Trolip.
Yes, Chair. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. I just I wanted to appeal to the committee or the joint committee and the members to avoid personalizing or making this about any one group of people or elevating people. The petition is quite clear. It's around the National Rural Safety Strategy that is developed to address safety in rural communities, including farming areas. So this is all rural communities and all farming communities. And in those communities, you have all South Africans living there. You have traditional communities, you have farmers and farm workers. Rural safety affects every single one of those people. So I think if this petition is going to be properly responded to, and we as a joint committee are going to give it the necessary attention, we need to look at the issues that affect rural safety, not just about farmers, or farm workers, or people living in far-flung rural areas that are affected daily by stock theft, especially cross-border stock theft and pot slaughtering and all those issues. Because stock theft is not only has an economic impact. When people are faced with their livelihoods being stolen without any form of redress, they often respond in a manner that is a manner of self-defense, defending their own property, which escalates violence. So I appeal to everyone on this committee, let's focus on the petition and let's focus on what we can do better to improve rural safety and not make this about any one group or the other. There are millions of South Africans that live in rural areas and farming communities that are affected by escalating rural crime. And our national rural safety strategy is not coping. And that's what we should be focused on. If we can just focus on improving our national rural safety strategy, then we can deal with all the issues that have been raised. That's my appeal, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Trollip. My appreciation.
May I say to Chair before you go any further?
Oh, Honorable Russell.
I must apologize, Chair. In fact, I was the last person to raise their hand, but unfortunately, that it appeared as Russell's. I thought maybe it's a surname for another guy. So
okay, because I was I didn't understand because I don't have a Russell in the portfolio committee. I thought probably comes from police. It's your opportunity then, Ndabezit.
I think I was the last person, but thank you for allowing me now before other members.
Yes.
Chair, all I wanted just to say is that, we are coming from an ugly history. Our history is a bad one with those tones of slavery, oppression, and exploitation. That is why maybe we could find ourselves in this mess. Let me then go straight to the point. In the issue of vehicles, Chairperson, I think, there is a tendency of reckless driving from the members of SEPS in the way they sort of maintain the vehicles of the SEPS. That's why you find a lot of them in garages. Secondly, the problem of roads. Go to the road traffic, road department, where the camps, camps where these yellow machines are kept. You'll find a lot of this equipment dumped in the departmental areas. Why? It's because of the poor maintenance as well. The machines are not maintained in order to be out and maintaining our roads, so that we could maybe fairly drive our vehicles without having a problem. In this instance of the state vehicles, if I may be sort of spot on, it's really a worrying, Chairperson, when you see how people are driving our vans around here. They don't simply have that oomph in their minds to say, this is our state vehicle. We are employed to use it so that we maintain it in a proper manner, and so as to carry out our daily duties. That's what I wanted just to raise. The second point, or the third point, was around Chairperson. One would have likely have maybe appealed to the Minister of Police. In case that there is a group which call themselves ISCAB. These people were very instrumental in trying to low down these activities of livestock thefts. But unfortunately, because they are not in good working relations with the department or the police, that is why you find at times, they even sort of work without being controlled. where in instance they sort of bring down the thieves, they get identified, and maybe at times they get arrested, the thieves get arrested. But the unfortunate part is that the way they interrogate people maybe is the way the SEPs are sort of drifting them aside, not to work with them. But if SEPs could maybe bring them along and try and sort of monitor and workshop them how to work with the people rather than doing what they're doing. Currently, you find that there are some areas here in KZN Chairperson where you find these like livestock thefts. They're having now their own protective or security guys who protect the areas where the livestock are kept. Those are the main issues, I think. Although I cannot mention places per se, but in KZN, it's more often to it's more available to identify and see where you cannot go in even if you have lost your livestock, you cannot go in to check whether they are kept on those bushes out there. That's what I want just to raise, Chairperson. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ndabezitha. It's Chairperson. Please come through.
Thank you, Chair. So I just have a few short comments to possibly add in terms of the report and possible proposals. Just considering what has been said so far, I think it's important that we cannot compare rural crime to, for example, violence against women and children, because it's not measurable. They aren't comparable statistics or variables. There's an important reason I say this. We need to look at, for example, violence against women and children as violence against women and children, when the most vulnerable in society are being disproportionately hurt or attacked. But if we do that statistically and we compare it to, for example, violence in rural communities, we're going to do it an injustice. And the reason I say this is because purely if we look at murder statistics and we compare men and women, only 25% of victims are female. So it's important that we make sure that we don't try and dilute it by just simply comparing numbers. Now, why do I say this? When we look at rural safety, and this is where the points for the potential or report in the future comes in, we need to understand that compared to other crimes, rural safety or attacks in rural communities often last longer than in urban areas. Now, there's a whole list of potential reasons, from being remote, from being far away from help. There's a whole list of things that we can consider. The point is that in many cases, we have then seen that it leads to torture. And this includes both farm workers and farmers, when we see horrific incidents of criminal gangs coming into a farming area and terrorizing a specific community. I have personally previously attended to some of these types of matters. And it's horrific to see what some communities go through. Now, in our previous meeting, I especially spoke about, for example, the impact on dairy farming, where eventually whether farm workers or the farmers themselves are due to the trauma, not able to then go and do the relevant work when it is still dark outside and they need to probably start milking at 2 or 3 in the morning. It's a silly example, but something that impacts the bottom line of that specific operation. Now, I've got 3 or 4 additions that I think are important to consider for our report. The first one is to now, as we go into the budget process and annual performance plans, is to ensure that from a policing point of view, there's adequate resourcing for vehicles that are suited to the agricultural and farming environment. So that's one that's very important. I think the second one is to identify what the biggest frustration in agricultural or farming communities are when it comes to these crimes. And again, I reiterate that this includes, it doesn't elevate one specific individual, culture, group, etc., above anyone else. This is broadly speaking the farming community. We must make sure that, for example, cases of violence or cases of infrastructure damage and stock theft, we need to go and determine what are the specifics that we need to prioritize in order for us to then see what potential changes or focus areas can be emphasized in the rural safety plan. So that's the second part. The third part is the question regarding crime intelligence. And this is something that pops up in the majority of discussions. But as an example with stock theft, it is a syndicated type of operation very, very often. We see very often around the Lesotho border, for example, how syndicates steal hundreds upon hundreds of cattle, heads of cattle, and take them back across, back into Lesotho. And that's just one example of several. So I think there's a big question regarding syndicated crime in rural areas. And that, for example, with large-scale stock theft, it cannot just be considered as individual case. It must be investigated to determine whether a specific case is linked to a broader syndicate. The last 2 points is community training and support. In terms of training, is to assist communities through the entire process of what can they do as the initial or the first, I want to call them first responders to that scene. So regardless of who it is, if they are there, how do they safeguard the scene? What can they do to be better eyes and ears of the police? And I know this does happen in certain parts of the country, but it's something that's important to emphasize. And then the last one is something that Minister Mthunu has previously mentioned, is the deployment of social workers to some police stations. I think in rural communities, the trauma experienced by violent crime, as in many other communities too, really is significant. So that's just something to also add, that there must be some kind of psychosocial role to play that wouldn't necessarily come from a Department of Agriculture or police. We cannot expect police members to be psychologists or counselors as well. But if we can work with the Department of Social Development, for example, I think there could be real value added if we can work on that plan as Minister Mthunu previously proposed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the input. Indeed, we're handling very difficult issues today. Somehow they may raise emotions and the like. It's the issues that we're discussing that are making us go to that level. Honorable Smith, and followed by Honorable Shikalang.
Good morning, Chairperson. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, Chair, quite an emotive issue. Chairperson, I firstly want to say that I think that this problem in general includes multi-departments contributions. It covers, as we already know, Department of Agriculture, Department of Police, but I think also when it comes to intelligence, crime intelligence, to the Justice Department in terms of ensuring that when offenders are arrested, that they are actually successfully prosecuted. So that whole process around that, as well as making sure that after the crime, that there's also attention, to this impact that it has on the victims, and ensuring that is attended to. Chairperson, I think also that it is necessary to look at the contribution of the Department of Home Affairs in terms of cross-border crime, because that also has a major impact, as already mentioned, with the border between Lesotho and South Africa, where we know there's a serious problem of stock theft. But also making sure that we make use of technology to assist in this, because it is such a vast area that you will never have the manpower to actually attend to the problem successfully. And I think the Department of Home Affairs showcased during this Easter season how successful drone technology can be used, and I think that is something that that police can also look at, is to ensure that the use of various technologies being implemented to assist, to identify, to monitor, but also to give information through to the police so that they can use their resources effectively. So that's just my little contribution to it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Smith. Honorable Lisa.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Pule. Good morning to all the colleagues and the visitors that are on the platform. Ma'am, I think we've said a lot today and at the last meeting. I think it's very important for us to remember that the Bill of Rights is very clear that South Africans should enjoy the freedom and security of their country. And I don't think this is completely what is happening in South Africa. On the 20th of March, the Minister of Police had a meeting with stakeholders regarding rural safety in our country, and we are yet to await feedback on that. But it would be nice for us to know what actually was said at that meeting and what the discussion was, because it was obviously regarding rural safety. And I think that will inform this platform a little bit better about what their strategy is. I'm sure that they wouldn't want to share it with everybody, but it would be interesting to find out the basics of that. I want to agree with Honorable Bayesh and Cameron about Home Affairs, because cross-border stock theft is a massive problem. And Chair, I just want to bring up, on the 19th of April, a farmer was murdered in Douglas in the Northern Cape, and it was purported that those criminals are foreigners, and we're still waiting any feedback on that. They have not been caught yet, but I think the massive problem is that we're sitting with people in our country that shouldn't be here. And a lot of the theft and the criminal activity that is taking place in our country is not actually by South Africans. And this matter is causing much deeper divides between South Africans at this stage than what it is saving our country. And once we can get, I want to say, almost say, get rid of these foreigners in our country, I think it would also put us on a better foot with each other. Stock theft is a massive problem in rural communities, and it affects small-scale farmers. While, yes, it affects large-scale farmers massively, it affects small-scale farmers, and these are the people that we're actually trying to build up, Chairperson. This is where our food security is going to sit in the future. This is where our economy is going to grow. This is where jobs are being created in our country, and we're not looking after them if their stock is being looted, and unfortunately they are being killed in our country. And again, stock theft and murder in South Africa doesn't know a color, and I really think we should get away from race, because people are dying in South Africa as we speak. Women and children are being murdered, and you can't they're not the same, obviously, but the fact is people are getting murdered in our country and we have to start doing something about it. That is the most important thing. Chairperson, and then the police, really, it's something we've spoken about. Our canine units are vastly lacking. They are so under-resourced. And if we can look at our canine units being resourced properly, bring back the sheepdogs, bring back the dogs that can assist the stock theft units, it will make a massive difference in our country. Sometimes people report stock theft and the police just never get there. And I mean, obviously these people become despondent, and unfortunately, as my previous colleague said, then people take matters into their own hands, and we don't want that in South Africa. We do not want people to take any matters into their own hands. There's a reason why we have a police system and a justice system in our country, and it should never be, as Honorable Skosana said, that people take matters into their own hand. This is something that we really must try and not let happen in South Africa as far as possible, because it is a massive problem. And food sustainability in our country is definitely going to be affected if it carries on the way that it's carrying on. And we should make sure that we do everything in our power to look after our people, to create an economy that is accessible to people and create jobs and make sure that everybody's safe. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisa. I see that we no longer have hands. Is there any other member that I've left out? Those that have raised their hands. Honorable Smith, is that a legacy hand or you want to come back? Oh, okay.
No, it was a legacy and apology, Chair.
It's okay. Thank you very much. Colleagues, is there anyone who would like to come back before I can then request the ministers to come in as we approach the conclusion of the meeting? There's no other one. Ministers, is there any minister who would like to start? Let me start with the, okay, I saw a hand. If it's not ministers, if it's the team from the police, if you want to assist in the recommendations or respond to some of the issues that members have raised here, please raise your hand before I pass. Okay, let me allow deputy ministers then.
Yeah, let me start. Let me ask either Skukune or Pinar to make their comments or responses if they want to, if there are matters that they feel they need to respond to.
Okay, thank you, Minister. You are allowed, Minister, who's speaking now, who should be starting? Is that Major General Pinar?
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Minister. Good morning to the Chairperson, honourable members of the committee, and the Minister and Deputy Ministers of Police, and also Agriculture and Protocol observed. There's just a couple of observations in response to the discussion and the recommendations made by the members of the committees. First of all, I appreciate the comments made that the issues that we need to deal with affect everybody in the rural communities. There's no group in the rural communities that's not affected by stock theft, by violent attacks on people who live in those communities. And it really is important that our strategy and our approach must be inclusive and must allow for communities and every community to play a role in the response to how we deal with the safety concerns in the rural communities. We do have a process underway currently to work with local police stations, specifically police stations that serve rural areas and areas that combine both rural and urban communities, and to share with those communities, share with the police stations as well as the rural safety structures that work with the communities, the guidelines that we've developed that deals with prevention of stock theft, that deals with the requirements for how the police should respond to stock theft and to incidents in rural areas, as well as the making police and the stakeholders that work with police aware of the rights of the communities in terms of land rights, in terms of security of tenure, and basically the issues that affect rural communities, but also issues that often drive conflict in rural areas. For the police, it's really important that we deal with every complainant that come to us in a professional manner, regardless of whether that complainant is a farmer, is a farm worker, is a farm dweller, or is part of a communal property association. And often we have complaints and complainants that come to us who have opposing views. You might have conflict in a communal property association, for instance, where all parties to the conflict approach the police. And again, the challenge for the police is to remain neutral, to investigate and deal with what we need to deal with in a professional manner, treat everybody with respect, and try and assist to resolve the conflict. But it is important that this relationship between police and agriculture continues. The Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development and the strategy that they've developed to deal specifically with rural development and land reform in rural areas is really important, because if we work together, we will be able to deal with some of the conflict that contributes to violence and crime in rural areas. From the police-specific issues, that strategy that LRRD is currently implementing really assists us, and so police is part of that process, and we want to continue to work together and make sure that we deal with the policing aspects and that we work, that our work complements each other. From the police-specific perspective, I trust that General Sintamule will deal with the specific issue around stock theft investigation, but we are working with the provincial commissioners to ensure that we have capacity in rural areas to deal appropriately with crime in rural areas, to improve our response times, to improve our investigation and our service delivery. There's a specific challenge currently in terms of ensuring that we have enough vehicles on the road. In many of our areas, we have really bad road networks. That means that we need a specific kind of vehicle. We need vehicles that we keep on the road despite having to deal with quite inaccessible roads. So that's an ongoing challenge that we need to address, and we are working with our supply chain environment to improve our vehicle maintenance or fleet maintenance processes so that we keep our vehicles on the road. But we do recognize that is an ongoing challenge for police that we need to continue to address and work on. In addition, we are currently working with provinces to also review the strategy. The strategy has come to the end of its 5-year term. We will now be developing a rural safety plan to address those issues that are still not addressed as part of the strategy, but at the same time, we will be engaging with communities in each of the provinces to review the strategy and look at what do we need to address in our rural safety focus areas going forward, so that we have a strategy that responds to the concerns and the concerns of all the stakeholders that are party to rural safety, and that provides for the units, the police stations, the designated stock theft units to appropriately respond to every community at every level. We have also, as part of the engagement that we have with rural communities, and I think some of the stakeholders who are present in the meeting today were part of our rural safety structures, but we have developed with them the E2 Rural concept that provides for rural communities and structures like the farm watchers in rural areas to work very closely with our rural safety committees. And that helps us also to improve our communication so that if something happens, we get the information faster, we can respond faster, but we also work with those communities to respond. And there is some good examples of how that assists us to expedite the response and deal with an issue in a rural area. But there are also some concerns that's been raised, I think specifically when we attended the meeting of the Committee on Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, about concerns that some communities perceive the role of private security, for instance, and farm watchers as concerning from their perspective. And that is something that we need to continue to recognize and work to resolve. Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity. I will submit.
Thank you very much. Minister?
Yes, could we allow General Sintamule to respond to the case, the particular case that was raised, and any other matter, and then I will then make a comment or two, unless deputy ministers want to come in. if they do, please allow them. If they don't, I'll then come after Sintimolo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. I'll see by raise of hands of the deputy ministers. I see Minister Steenhuisen's hand. Minister, let me allow the general to speak first, and then you will come in, Minister Steenhuisen. I have noted your hand.
Thank you very much, Minister, and good morning to the chairpersons of both committees, to the ministers of both portfolios, agriculture and police, and to all the deputy ministers, the members of both portfolio committees, and all the people who are on the platform. Mine, Chair, is just to respond to the issue of the farm killing that you spoke about that happened in Rosenekal in Limpopo, where Mr. Stoltz was murdered. And this took place on the 12th. I think the case was opened in April, and the murder took place on the 30th of April 2025. The case is investigated by Serious and Violent Crimes in Limpopo. We have been following leads to date, and we have also enlisted the assistance of our private partners like Fidelity, who actually have got better tracking capacity than we do. However, to date, the vehicle that was stolen during the commission of crime was not recovered. However, the investigation is continuing, and we will monitor closely and report progress to this committee. Thank you very much, Chair. I submit.
Thank you very much. Deputy Minister Bushiela.
Thank you very much, Chair, both Chair of Agriculture and Chair of the Portfolio Committee on Police. And then let me greet the ministers, Minister Mkunu and Minister Steenhuisen and Deputy Minister Matali and all the colleagues on the platform. I would just want to agree with Honorable Trolip that we might want to be very sensitive in terms of dealing with the issues such that we are not seen to be dealing with a particular section rather than the whole rural safety strategy. I'm saying this because there's this elephant in the room where you have people now going out and saying they are not in South Africa, they have been killed, and getting refugees and whatever. And it will damage all of us as government or as a country, because what is being portrayed there, and I never thought they will even go to extent of even taking a flight and going there because they are refugees, which is a foreign language in our own country, because we never had that. We've always worked together and be able to deal with the issue. So this is the elephant in the room, and I think as both portfolio committees, we should be able to come out very strong about this thing, so that we will not be seen to be promoting it. Because once we promote it, then come out, as I hear, with different strategies to deal with the farm workers and farm this and whatever, yes, we will be giving credence to what is there, which we know is not there. And then I think the question of the budget is also raised. The other elephant in the room is the illegal foreigners, which are employed by most of the farmers, both black and white. And when they done with the picking or whatever they were doing, then they release them, and then they are all over the country, and then they hire other ones when the time comes. And as a result, they felt like they've not been paid or they've not been treated well, and then sometimes they do crime, and because they are illegal, they don't even have fingerprints. You can't even see or determine where to get them or what. So until we deal with this elephant in the room and be able to clarify our nation there, that there is nothing called refugees or killing of farmers or whatever. Yes, there are challenges. I think honorable members have said it, and we have never denied it that there are challenges. So we need to be able to come out very clear around that one. But in terms of the rural safety, as others have suggested, I think those are good suggestions. We'll be able to use them as we go on in terms of implementation of our agreements. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Back to you, Minister. But before you speak, ministers, I would like to invite my co-chair, Honorable Cameron, if you can come through and then take from here. There's a Minister Mtunu who would like to speak, but also the hand of Minister Steenhuisen. Thank you very much, co-chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. If I may then go over to, I'm not sure what the order was, Chairperson. Who was next according to your list?
Minister Mtunu, yes.
Okay, then I go to Minister Mtunu, followed by Minister Steenhuisen. Minister?
Thank you very much, Chair. Very few things. Welcome all the comments. We appreciate the contributions that have been made throughout the discussion from the last time to this time. Going forward, you are looking at harnessing all the ideas and the comments that have been made here in good faith. That will include the outcome of our engagement in Bloemfontein with the farmers from 3 provinces, which I believe has been processed internally, and we now need to execute plans. We do need to meet ourselves with organized agriculture. There's been toing and froing on that, and we need this one meeting to finalize. And all of this over and above what the General was saying here, General Pinar, we do need to produce a map of criminality on farms so that we can prioritize areas while at the same time dealing with the shortages and other matters which we are dealing with, on vehicles and lack of impact in some cases in cases involving rural communities. So the whole aim is to make sure that we do as much as we can to close in on criminality in rural areas. Chair, with that, thank you very much for the contributions from all.
Thank you very much, Minister. I then hand over to Minister Steenhuisen.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, co-chairs, members of the committee, Minister Mtunu, my colleague in Cabinet, as well as deputy ministers, and of course, guests that are on the platform this morning. Thank you very much. I think it's been a very interesting engagement on a very important issue. I will just say a few things as briefly as I can. I definitely think there does need to be greater collaboration between organized agriculture and the SAPs, and so I welcome Minister Mtunu's extension of that particular matter, because organizations like Agri-SA and the entire agricultural community do have resources as well that I think could be harmonized with the police resources. I'm talking here particularly about extensive networks of cameras and the like, which enable you to get onto criminals, number plate recognition systems. A lot of these things exist already in rural communities. I think what we do need to do is to look at how we harmonize them so that there's a joint approach with the SAPS in terms of those rural safety and where the police could plug into those particular networks. So there are some ideas from Agri-SA and other AFASA and other organized agricultural institutions. And I just want to back up what the Deputy Minister was talking about there, because certainly on my last 2 visits to the Lesotho border with the Free State, it is actually small-scale black farmers who are bearing the bigger brunt of the scourge of stock theft. And for many of them, it's put a number of them out of business. When you're getting up to 11 sheep, 3 cattle stolen a day, it completely ruins the viability of your operation. And so this issue doesn't know race or strata in terms of the agricultural community. It's affecting all of our farmers in a negative way. And so I agree with what Chairperson Cameron has said, that I think that there is an opportunity for an intelligence-led operation to go after the crime theft, stock theft syndicates, and to ensure that we are able to get that information. Chair, there were 2 specific things directed in terms of agriculture. The first one was on the animal tracing system. I did give some brief to the committee the last time I was there, but I would suggest then that the department and I come back to committee at a mutually agreed date to take them into speed with what we're doing, and also perhaps to bring some of the civil society partners that we're working with within the agricultural space around moving towards a system of animal identification, which is no doubt now also a requirement in terms of what our international partners are expecting for us, and would assist, as the Honourable Montwedi has correctly said, in helping with stock theft, in helping with spread of foot and mouth, and a variety of other issues. Again, we are going to have to overcome some resistance, as I said at committee the last time, but I think if we move to a system that generally can accommodate all modalities of the scale of livestock farmers in South Africa, I think that in an affordable, cost-effective way, I think that is the way to go. And a large amount of work has been done in that regard, and we will come and report back to yourself, Chairperson, at the Agriculture Committee. But again, all of this is going to require a partnership with the South African Police Service. We don't have power as agriculture to pull over vehicles. We don't have power to impound vehicles without the SAPS assistance. So I will obviously look forward to an engagement with Minister Mkhunu around how we can sensitize and prioritize these animal matters with the SAPS. Honourable Mtwedi asked about pounds. I would say that there would be no legislative authority of national government to pass legislation on pounds. If you look at Schedule 5 of the Constitution, pounds are a concurrent function of provinces and municipalities. And so I think that any move by a national government to pass legislation on pounds would be ultra vires of the Constitution, given the fact that it is a Schedule 5 matter, and it would be an unwarranted intrusion of national government onto an exclusive area of provincial and local competence. That being said, if there are issues around pounds, I'm really happy to pick those up and raise them within the MINMEC meetings that we have with the provincial MECs to try and get a status on issues around pounds and their efficacy or otherwise, and to try and establish what plans provinces have around those plans. But there certainly won't be a piece of legislation coming from my department or the Agriculture Department because we would be acting outside of the Constitution if we were to attempt to legislate on an area of exclusive provincial and local legislative authority. Chairperson, thank you very much. I've really found the conversation very stimulating, and obviously working together with Minister Mkhunu, we will find a way to be able to overcome many of these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Chair.
Sorry, man. Sorry, Chair. Chair.
Is that Mr. Sito speaking? Mr. Sito, yes.
Yes. Sorry, Chairman, because we can't raise hands. And if you say that you are going to give us platform, what time? Because now we are. I think we are listening, and we want to give the input. But it's up to you, Chair. Please come back to me. Thank you.
Mr. Sito, I don't have a problem with giving you 5 minutes. We did go through your presentation before. I know that Chairperson Pule has also considered it in quite a bit of detail. So I will give you a short moment. We have considered everything. The report that will be formulated will include or will likely include some of the recommendations. Obviously, that will go through the different committees, and we will give the relevant feedback. Chair Puli, are you comfortable?
Thank you, Chairperson. I am comfortable. However, this is a meeting of the members of parliament. He was invited as an observer, as a petitioner, or one of the petitioners. So, as I said earlier on, that even in the departments, we did not necessarily need members to make further presentations from both the Department of Agriculture and the police. All we needed were responses, especially from the police, because most of the issues were relevant to the police. So it would be opening a meeting again, that which he has made before. So this is a meeting of the members of parliament only. And I had sent him a message because he raised an issue on the chat group, and I responded to him. The other thing, Chair, while I'm still on that, I think that he has made his a presentation and the recommendations, and that's why earlier on in the beginning of the meeting, I did sort to summarize on the issues that they have raised as petitioners. So lastly here, Chair, if you can check on the chat, Honorable Bear Smith has made an input there. He made a submission there, just to alert you so that you can go through it if you would like to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I think in that case, Mr. Sito, I'm not going to give you a long time. I'd like to accommodate you, but as Chairperson Pule correctly said, this was already in consideration of your input. But before we do that, just the submission, and before we conclude the submission from Honourable Bayers Smith, you would see in the chat, you're more than welcome to go through that as well. It is there for everyone to see. It reiterates the importance of camera systems, the role of the justice system, including Home Affairs as well, with regards to illegal foreigners and the whole bail challenge that we face, and then obviously crime intelligence as well. Colleagues, I would like us to conclude. Mr. Sito, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to join.
Order. Can I come in, Chairperson?
Sorry, I didn't recognize you. Who is that?
It's Honorable Montwedi.
Hi, Honorable Montwedi. Do you want to raise a point?
Yes, raising a point of order. I think the chair of the Committee of Agriculture spoke and indicated that we will now be opening a meeting again. Now, normally, it's convention that we make our inputs, ministers respond. We make our inputs. The presentation is made, we make our inputs, ministers respond. And as they respond, we check if there are follow-ups. If there are no follow-ups, we then close. Now, this is a meeting of members of parliament. We listened to the petitioner on the 19th of March, if I'm correct. They made their point clearly articulated in that particular meeting. Now, whatever that is going to be said by one of the petitioners here, will we be able as members of parliament to make a comment? But I think they've said what they wanted to say in the last meeting. Why are we allowing them to speak again today? And I think the portfolio chair of agriculture did indicate that also.
Thank you, Honourable Montwedi. I'm well aware of the process. Let me ask the other committee members. I'm not going to open it. If you are comfortable, I don't mind concluding the meeting. In my opinion, we've heard everything that we need to hear. We can make contact with Mr. Sito if there are any further questions regarding the petition. I think we've had more than adequate time on the relevant presentations, and so too discussion in the previous meeting as well as today. If there's anyone that feels strongly about the fact that we need further discussion, I'm more than comfortable to support the recommendation as made by the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Agriculture, as well as the last honourable member that spoke. I don't see any objection to that. Colleagues, if that is then the end of the meeting, we will obviously give the relevant feedback via email. We will send the relevant report to the person serving on the different committees, and also then get everyone's input before we can table that specific report for adoption. I want to thank everyone for your constructive approach to today's meeting. I know it is a challenging subject, but it's so important that we lead the way in terms of how we consult on these types of issues. And a special thank you to Chairperson Pule from the Agricultural Committee for the facilitation today. I thereby close the meeting and look forward to further engagement. Thank you.
I think, Chair,
Thank
they are
you
scared
very
of
much,
me.
Chair.
They are scared of me because next time I will be in Parliament. I will join one of the political party. I'm coming. Thank you.